It is Monday, October 16th, and these are today's headlines. Tirade against the United States. The president of Turkey criticizes U.S. support of the Kurdish fighters. A new nominee. Find out who President Trump announced on Thursday to be the new nominee for Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. A war of tweets. Find out who is in a political war with Donald Trump over Twitter. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm Marrero, and this is On Point with Politics. Welcome back to On Point with Politics. I'm Marrero.
And I'm Kimberly Keagy. President Donald Trump announced on Thursday the nomination of Kristen Nelson to be the new nominee for Secretary of Department of Homeland Security. At the formal White House event, to announce the nomination, Trump spoke highly of Nelson and said, quote, her sterling reputation as a dedicated leader whose number one priority was the security of our citizens, not politics or ideology. That sets her apart. Nelson said it was a privilege to have worked at the White House, and she implied that she shares the administration's priorities when it comes to national security. End quote. Trump asked the Senate to respond quickly to his nominee and told press, quote, in light of our serious threats facing our country and the urgent disasters recovery efforts, I call upon the Senate to put politics aside and confirm this tremendously highly qualified and talented nominee with a strong bipartisan vote. End quote. Nelson previously worked as John Kelly's former principal deputy chief of staff. This isn't Nelson's first time working in the White House, as she's previously served in President George W. Bush administration as a special assistant for prevention, preparedness, and response of the Homeland Security Council.
In Point Park news, the United Student Government reviewed future campus expansions in a meeting last week. During this meeting, which was held in the Lawrence Hall multipurpose room, the senators discussed the new playhouse along with renovations which were made during the summer. The new playhouse located on Forbes Avenue will be 3 stories tall and will feature 3 theaters, multiple rehearsal rooms, dressing rooms, and lounges. In other news, the United Student Government adopted a $10,000 internal budget last week. This budget was decided on by the senators as it is a year's worth of student government activities, with the highest cost subcategories falling under stipends, forums, and club cushions.
Democrat Connor Lamb kicked off his campaign enter race for the Murphy seat on Saturday. Mr. Lamb of Mount Lebanon enters the race as his first run for public office. Lamb had previously been working as an assistant for the U.S. Attorney in the Pittsburgh office up until a week ago when he stepped down. Lamb offered few policy details during an afternoon speech that lasted less than 10 minutes. Lamb told the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, quote, it's early to get into policy positions, end quote. The 18th district includes Allegheny and 3 other counties which has leaned Republican. Former Allegheny County Councilman Mike Kroski, former Department of Veterans Affairs official Pam Avani, and emergency physician Bob Sullivan are also running in the race after Mr. Murphy said he was stepping down among reports of mistreating staff and carrying out an extramarital affair.
Well, that is all for right now. We will be going on a short break. Stay tuned. I'm Marrero, and this is On Point with Politics.
On Point with Politics. Now, Tania, what's going on around the world?
According to CNN, the president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has launched a new tirade against the United States. He's criticizing the U.S. support for Kurdish fighters in Syria and accusing the country of, quote, sheltering a terrorist, end quote. Erdogan believes that the United States is sacrificing its years-long relationship with Turkey. Both the U.S. and Turkey have frozen many visa services in each country. Erdogan said he would no longer recognize the U.S. Ambassador John Bass, whom he blames for the rising issues between both countries.
Thank you, Tania. Let's go over to Cole, who has some news regarding Congress.
In congressional news, Republican Senator Bob Corker has been taking shots at President Donald Trump. Corker tweeted that, under Trump's presidency, the White House has become, quote, an adult daycare center, end quote, as well as stating that Trump's love for drama may lead to a World War III. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan weighed in on the feud, recommending that Trump and Corker have a sit-down and talk through their disagreements. Meanwhile, in the House, Democrats have been working on addressing safeguards for federal workers who alert the public of, quote, improper use of air transportation, end quote, by their superiors. All of this comes just weeks after reports came out that Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price used private charter planes paid for with taxpayer money at least 24 times.
Thank you, Cole. Now, before our time is up, Nick Tomello has some news regarding Pittsburgh and the state of Pennsylvania. Nick?
The state budget problems could make a huge impact on the state public universities. According to a report by the Post-Gazette, state universities are putting pressure on lawmakers for a potential, quote, mid-year tuition hike and discontinuance of more than $10,000 in price reductions for in-state students, end quote. The University of Pittsburgh's chancellor, Patrick Gallagher, told the Post-Gazette that a mid-year tuition increase is possible and that without the state's appropriated money, Pitt could become private for this current school year, and the $11,000 price reduction for Pennsylvanians could become no longer available. The chairman also said that the Pitt Titusville campus could close. Penn State also said that they could raise tuition costs this spring. Governor Wolf and Republican leaders are still trying to figure out how to pay the $32 billion budget as they, quote, work to close a $2 billion deficit, end quote. And finally, PA State Attorney General Josh Shapiro is filing a federal lawsuit against the Trump administration over health subsidies. According to a report by the Associated Press, Shapiro said that premiums for more than 400,000 Pennsylvanians who buy individual insurance plans will skyrocket without the subsidies. President Trump is defending his decision, saying that the subsidies are, quote, almost a payoff to the insurance companies who raise stock prices instead of helping low-income people afford their premiums. That is all I have for you today. Now let's go back to the desk.
Thank you all for tuning in to On Point with Politics. Make sure to join Kimberly Keagy and I, Dennis Marrero, next time for more updates on politics. Hope you all have a great week, and I hope that you all stay on point with politics. Good night.